Yeah, this is going to be a short video on 6 characteristics of a narcissist that you need to look out for. If you are in a relationship with someone and there are maybe some red flags that are coming up and you're not sure whether you should carry on in a relationship with someone, these are some of the things that you need to look out for. Because with me, the problem with our public educational system is that it doesn't really equip us to get through life much easier. It's like everything has to be hard, and I'm referring specifically to relationships. That when I was going through school, I don't know about you guys who are watching this video, no one ever, I was never taught about relationships in school. I was never taught to set boundaries. I had to do that myself. Now, if when I was in school, going through the public educational system, if I had been equipped with the 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 knowledge of how to deal with abusive, narcissistic, and manipulative relationships, I think my life would have been way easier. And I'm talking about specifically about relationships. I'm not talking about finances and stuff, even though there's finances involved as well. Because what happened between me and my parents is, I look back now, I've come to realize that basically all my parents wanted from me was money. So I'm making this video just to say to some of you, maybe who haven't gone through what I've gone through, is you need to be really careful about your relationships with your parents and your siblings and other relatives, because not everyone cares about you. It doesn't matter if they tell you that they care about you or they love you, but actions speak louder than words. And for me, I came to learn the hard way that not just because someone is a family member, just because someone is a relative, it does not mean that they care about me, and it does not mean that that relationship that I have with that person is worth having. So the narcissists have many character traits, but I just want to go through 6 of them here. But before I do so, I just wanted to quote some scripture here. 1 Corinthians 7:23 says, "Ye are bought with the price, be not ye the servants of men." When he says we're bought with the price, we're bought by Christ's death on the cross. Okay, we belong to God through creation and through redemption. So it's almost like God or His Son bought us. They paid a price for us twice. It's like paying for a car twice. Maybe the first time you buy a car, you bought it from a car dealer, and then the car was stolen, and the person who stole the car demanded a ransom from you if you wanted to get your car back. Buying something twice when you already own it hurts. So I'm just using that as an illustration to show that we belong to God through creation. God created us. We already belong to Him, but the devil made a claim on our lives, and Christ had to come and die on the cross in order to redeem us from the clutches of the devil. So we are bought with the price, and we should not allow ourselves to be the servants of men. Don't allow yourself to be someone's slave or someone's servant. No one owns you. The only person who died for you is Jesus Christ. Not even your parents have got a claim over your life just because they brought you into this world. Because at the end of the day, even our parents belong to God, because everything on this earth belongs to God. So parents don't have a claim over our lives. They cannot claim to own us. And even for me, I'm a parent as well. I can't claim to own my kids. Just as an aside, a few weeks ago or a few months ago, I was talking to someone, and I normally like to. I've been told that I'm quite philosophical in the way I talk, and I was talking to this young man, and I was trying to witness to him, and I said to this young man, excuse me. I said to this young man, "Do you have any kids?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Then who do your kids belong to?" And he said, "They're my kids." And I said, "No." I said, "You're wrong." I said, "Your children don't even belong to you." I said, "Your children belong to God. He gave them to you." And I said, one of the most scary questions that a parent or parents can is ever going to be asked by God is, if parents make it to heaven and their children don't make it to heaven because they are lost, God is going to ask parents, "Where are the children that I gave you?" So there's no question that's more frightening than that, to be asked by God to a parent, "Where are the children that I gave you?" So so even the children that we have and our parents having us as children, we don't belong to our parents, and our children don't belong to us. Everything belongs to God, and we have to give an account for what we have done with the children that God gave us. So I'm just expanding on this verse on 1 Corinthians 7:23. Do not be not ye the servants of men. No one has got the right to exercise ownership over someone else, and no one has got the right to abuse another person. It doesn't matter who they are, even if it's your very mother who gave birth to you. And I've said this in one of my other videos. No one has got the right to abuse another person. Okay, I don't care who it is. Even if it's the leader of a country, no one has got the right to abuse another person. So I just wanted to go through 6 characteristics of a narcissist, so that you know what the traits are of a narcissist, in order to watch out for them. And I'll say, not and having established the fact that someone is a narcissist, I would suggest you walk away. It doesn't matter who that person is, if it's your dad or your mom or an aunt or uncle, or even a sibling. If you figure out or you discover that someone is a narcissist, and they are being narcissistic towards you, or exhibiting narcissistic tendencies, is what I wanted to say, to say it in a better way. I would say it is better to walk away, so that you can live your life in peace and sleep well at night. Okay, it took me a long time to do that, to walk away, but I would suggest that, in hindsight now, and with everything I've learned, I would suggest that there's no relationship that's worth hanging on to if it's an abusive relationship with a narcissist. So the first one, the first trait or characteristic I want to talk about is selfishness. That narcissists tend to be selfish. They or self-obsessed. They make everything about them. It's like they only care about themselves. They don't care about others. And very often they will complain about what you are not doing for them, or what their children are not doing for them, rather than them doing a bit of self-reflection and thinking about what they are not doing for others, questioning whether they can do more for others. Sometimes it's not even about doing more. Sometimes narcissists don't even lift a finger. They'll never lift a finger to help you. I'm talking from personal experience. I started working when I was 24 years old. I started working in Zimbabwe when I was about 24 years old, somewhere there, before I went to the UK. And since that time, and I actually purchased my own plane ticket to the UK because my parents refused to help me, basically. And I also paid for my own college fees. That's before I started working. My parents didn't lift a finger to help me. All I had was discouragement. Things like, I was told not to go to the UK, that I should stay and look after my siblings, so that my parents could be the ones who could go to the UK and work and look for money. Yet I was starting out in life, and I had my own goals and aspirations and things that I wanted to achieve. So yeah, narcissists will very often complain about what you are not doing for them, but they won't think about what they should be doing for you. They won't even think about how you also need financial assistance. yeah, so they tend to be very selfish and self-obsessed. 2, they do not apologize, regardless of how much a narcissist has hurt you. I'm not saying that they won't even, they don't know that they're supposed to apologize, but it's not within them to apologize to you. They do not have an ability to say sorry. They it's like they don't have a conscience. It doesn't matter how you feel, how much they've hurt you. They will actually spin things around and make it look like you are the one who has hurt them. And I'm talking about personal experience. My dad did this to me especially, but also my mom as well. That when I said that I wasn't happy with how my parents had been abusive to me and my wife, it was basically like it was the whole thing was spun around to make it look like, they basically made counter false allegations, false allegations towards me, to counter the things that I was saying about how they treated me. I use Telegram quite a lot, and a few months ago I came across this meme that said, this meme said something along the lines of expecting compassion or empathy from a narcissist is like bleeding next to a shark. I thought it was very funny when I read that, but at the same time, very apt. Very good way of describing how not to behave. Don't show don't show a narcissist that your feelings are hurt, because a narcissist does not have the ability to show compassion or empathy. They actually don't care. So number 3, narcissists are sadists. They're sadistic, and just for the simple fact that that's not a word that's used every day. I'm going to define what it means here. So a sadist or a sadistic person is someone who takes pleasure in inflicting pain on others, or humiliating others. That's what narcissists tend to do. They like to humiliate others. One of the things that my dad used to do quite a lot, before I cut ties with him and my mom, is that he used to talk about me and my siblings in the presence of other people, even relatives or strangers, and he would do that to make himself look good, as if to say, for those who don't understand, like he would talk about me and my all my siblings as if to say, oh yeah, I you know I warned my children not to, or I warned one of my children not to do a certain thing, and they still went ahead and did it. And now, because of that, look at what happened. Talking about us in front of other people to make themselves look good, as if to say, parents know better. You need to listen to your parents. Even at this age, I'm 51 this year, and I'm the firstborn, and all my siblings are grown men, almost all of them with their own families, but we're still spoken about as if we are teenagers. This talk of making it look like, oh, parents know best, children need to listen to their parents. No, children don't need to listen to hypocritical, abusive, and narcissistic parents who are ungodly. Everyone can make up their own mind, as long as you are in your own home with your own family and with your own wife and children, whatever, or even as long as you've moved up from home, everyone can make up their own minds. We don't need controlling and coercive parents to be telling us what to do with our lives. Okay, not me personally. If for those of you who want to take bad advice from ungodly parents, go ahead, but that's not for me. Number 4, uncompassionate, and I think I already mentioned that narcissists are uncompassionate or are unempathetic. They lack an ability to show compassion. Number 5, they have a sense of self-entitlement. they think that everyone, especially their children, should do things for them. Um, you know, things like demanding money, demanding material things. These are things that I personally experienced, that especially from the time I started working, but even before that, my parents used to abuse me financially, because they used to ask me for money and never give me back my money as they had promised. But it was mainly when I started working that a lot of demands were made from me, with a total disregard for the fact that I have my own goals and aspirations. I had things that I wanted to achieve, and I still have things that I want to achieve. But it was like I'm supposed to set aside my own dreams and aspirations and my goals for the sake of pleasing my parents, as if I'm an investment. And in fact, I've come to learn that that's what my parents think about me. They think that I'm their investment. That, when every time I get paid, I'm supposed to give them a percentage of my salary, and I'm not allowed to say no. And on top of that, I'm supposed to. It's like they are just supposed to sit back and enjoy their lives whilst I run around doing things for my siblings, because I'm the firstborn. It was even said that it's even been said that because I'm the firstborn, I'm the dad, which is nonsense, because it's the duty of every parent to look after their own children. My parents' duty is to look after their own children, and my duty is to look after my wife and my children. I'm not supposed to have to be burdened with the responsibility of looking after my siblings. Yet when I've got my own family, and my parents are still alive. When if you bring children into this world, it is your responsibility to look after them, even as adults. If they need help, you're supposed to help them. This thing of trying to pass on the duty or responsibility of looking after the children that you've brought into this world, I think that's it's lazy. I think it's selfish, because you're running away from your responsibility and trying to palm off that responsibility to someone else. I think it's very it's unmanly and unwomanly to try and hand over your own children to someone else to look after, yet you brought them into this world. Children are pretty much for life. If they need your help, you're supposed to be there as a parent to help them. Don't expect someone else to look after your own children, okay? Yeah, but I was just explaining how narcissists have a tendency of feeling like they're entitled to things. They won't even ask you for money or for material things. They actually basically demand those things from you. Number 6, they tend to have coercive and controlling behavior. Once again, personal experience, that instead of asking for financial assistance or for asking for any type of help, it's like they make you feel like you are forced to do certain things. Yet none of us are forced to do anything, because at the end of the day, God created us with the freedom of choice. Okay, and these freedoms are given to us as soon as we come out of our mother's wombs. Everyone has God-given rights. No one can take those rights away. But narcissists tend to think that you are forced to do certain things for them just because they're your parents. And controlling behavior. Coercive and controlling behavior is something that I used to deal with quite a lot when I was in the police in the UK. And coercive and controlling behavior almost became like the definition of domestic abuse. Whereas, yes, in the past, domestic abuse used to be seen as, it was mainly seen as physical abuse. And in fact, there was a time when in the UK, I learned the history of how the police in the UK used to deal with domestic abuse. There was a time some decades ago when police, yes, would attend domestic abuse cases, But when they got there, if they found that maybe, let's say, a woman had been physically abused by her husband, they wouldn't actually intervene. They would actually walk away and not even take a report or arrest anyone. But because of how things have changed over time, and there's now a zero tolerance towards domestic abuse, even coercive and controlling behavior, where, let's say, a husband takes away the bank card of their spouse, that would be seen as domestic abuse, and it could potentially lead to an arrest. So I used to deal. Why I'm telling you all these things, because I used to deal with this kind of things in the police, and I used to deal with them almost on a daily basis. It actually became so tedious and annoying to deal with that every day. We were sick and tired. Me and my colleagues were sick and tired of dealing with domestics almost on a daily basis. But what I then, I kind of I was kind of, when I saw how my parents were treating me and my wife, I kind of brushed it off, because I refused to believe that the same things I was dealing with in the police were the same things that were being done to me. Where my dad had a tendency of picking up the phone, calling me to complain about my wife and to demand certain things, to demand that I should buy, me and my wife should buy clothes for my siblings, even though that's my job. My parents' job is to look after their own children. But what I've discovered and what I've learned about my parents, especially my dad, is that he doesn't want to use his own finances. He doesn't want to use his own money. So he can be earning money, but somehow he thinks that I'm supposed to be. He doesn't want to use his own money. He wants me to use my money to do shopping for him, or to buy material things for him, to buy him shoes and things like that. So I came to a position where I thought, hang on here, I can't. I didn't spend 12 years in the UK, in the police in the UK, only to become a victim of domestic abuse, because that's what coercive and controlling behavior is. I wanted to tell you the story about how my dad actually, my dad actually said in front of me and in the presence of one of my uncles in Zambia. I'd passed through Zambia to visit him before I came to Zimbabwe. He actually said that that I could be controlled in my home by my mother, and he said it in an indirect way. He said that even Mugabe, the former president, the late president of Zimbabwe, he said that even Mugabe could be controlled in his home by his mom, but he was referring to me, and I think that statement is very, very abusive. And actually, I challenged him and said parents cannot control children in their adult children in their own homes. All they can do is give advice. But even with the advice, it's up to the individual to take it. And that's how I confronted that very nonsensical statement that I can be controlled in my home. So yeah, those are the 6 things that I wanted to, the 6 traits of narcissists that I wanted to talk about. Watch out for these characteristics, because it's I mean, another one could be that they are very manipulative. I mean, one of the things that was said to me and my wife was that we had to follow African culture in our home. But when you look at the so-called African culture, it was all to do with things that were supposed to benefit my parents. Like one of the things I mentioned, like this whole thing that I'm supposed to buy clothes for my siblings. I mean, this is when they were teenagers, but yeah, my wife and I were told that we have to practice African culture, a thing which I hate, by the way. I hate hearing anyone tell me that I have to do something because it's African culture, because I don't believe in African culture. I'm a Christian, okay? I have no interest in so-called African culture, which wasn't even mentioned when I was growing up, by the way. What was mentioned when I was growing up, me and my siblings, was that we were forced to go to church. But when I started working and I got married, I started hearing that I'm supposed to follow African culture. I mean, if anyone wants to follow African culture, they should do it in their own home, not in my home. Don't practice African culture in my home. Practice it in your own home. So, yeah, so maybe number 7 could be the fact that narcissists are very manipulative. They'll try and manipulate you. So, be aware of these things. Don't allow someone to take advantage of you, and don't be a servant or a slave to another person. Remember, you're bought with the price, and um, uh, Christ wants us to have life more abundantly. We should not be restrained because of someone else's whims. Where someone thinks that you have to give them a certain percentage of your wages, or you have to do shopping for them, or you have to buy them clothes. All those things can be done, but you have to do them willingly. No one is forced to do anything, and like I said earlier, no one has got the right to abuse another person. But those are the things I wanted to share, because no one actually taught me any of this. I had to learn it for myself, that there are such characters who like to abuse and manipulate, uh, control, and control others. I'm just sharing this so that you for those of you who are watching and listening, you don't repeat the same mistakes that I made. That you need to stop, nip bad behavior in the bud before it goes on for too long. And I would say, when you find out that someone is a narcissist and they're trying to do all these things to you that I've just read or gone through, I think I would say the best thing is to walk away. So yeah, I hope that was a blessing to you, and I'll see you on the next video.